The content of this podcast is intended to provide general information about Tarion and new home warranty coverage in Ontario. The content is accurate as of the date of the recording, but may later be affected by changes in legislation or policy. The content should not be used as legal advice. You are encouraged to consult with your lawyer if you are seeking legal advice related to buying a new home or about the warranty program. Please visit Tarion.com for the most current information about your new home warranty.
This is SSN
Story Studio Network.
Your new home is just about move-in ready, and you're anxiously awaiting the day when you get the keys to your front door. Before that happens, you will go through a PDI, or a pre-delivery inspection, with your builder. All builders are required to do a thorough walkthrough with you before handing over the keys. It's one of the first opportunities to view your completed home or condo unit before you take possession. What do you need to look for? What do you need to ask? Who, if anyone, should you bring with you to the PDI? Welcome to Unpacked, a Tarion podcast about the new home journey in Ontario. By law, all new homes built in Ontario are provided with a warranty by the builder. Tarion's role is to ensure that buyers and owners of new homes receive the coverage they are entitled to under their builder's warranty. I'm Barb DiGiulio, and in this episode, I'm joined by Natasha Paikin, Director of Client Experience at New Horizon Development Group, Graham Clarke, Consulting Engineer, Clarke Engineering, and Samantha Rieder, Training and Development Manager, Warranty Services at Tarion. Good morning, everyone, and welcome.
Good morning. Thanks very much.
Barb.
Good morning,
Thanks
Barb.
for having us.
I'm going to start with Natasha, and what I'm going to do is go through the different perspectives, builder, home inspector, and Tarion when it comes to the pre-delivery inspection. So Natasha, maybe we can start by talking about the process when a home is ready for occupancy and what is the purpose of the PDI from the builder perspective.
Sure. So from the builder perspective, the purpose of the PDI really is to give the home buyer kind of the first opportunity to look at their new home or condo before actually taking possession. And there are two main goals from our perspective at the PDI. One is to kind of orient the new home buyer with their new home or the common elements that form part of their new condo. And then two, to inspect their home and note anything that may require more attention from our team or anything that may be delayed and not installed in time for this inspection. We just note that to ensure it arrives before their occupancy date.
Typically, when a builder takes a new homeowner through their home for the PDI, is the builder often prepared to let the homeowner know this isn't finished yet or that isn't finished yet?
Yes, that's actually a big part of preparing the purchaser for their walkthrough. So what we do at New Horizon is send a what to expect at your PDI note to each purchaser. And in that note, we kind of prepare them for what to expect either when walking through the lobby of their building. Some items might not be complete, or if there are items we know will not arrive in time for their PDI, such as a back-ordered appliance or something like that, then we just prepare them ahead of time so that they walk into their new home knowing what they're going to walk into.
So for someone who has never experienced a PDI before, what exactly happens? How long does it take? How is it conducted?
It depends on the size of the space. For a new condo, it would typically be under about 2 hours. And for a new home, it could take a little bit longer than that just to complete the walkthrough of all the rooms in the home. And what we usually do is start within the home or condo itself, walk through every room and kind of build the list of any items that require extra attention from the builder. And then we would move on to any common element spaces. So showing the purchaser where their underground parking space is, where their locker is, how to use the security system, how to use any of the, air conditioning or heating systems that are in their home or condo, and then expand on any of their questions from there.
And when it comes to things like seasonal issues, say you're doing a PDI in the winter, is there a need to inspect things outdoors, and how is that done?
There can be, and oftentimes that can still happen in the winter weather, depending. The other important thing to note is that any seasonal items, their timelines for repair or for completion will be extended based on the seasonality of them. So typically, we would prepare purchasers that if they're moving in the winter, they may not have a driveway or landscaping fully completed because those are items that will be weather dependent and will be completed and kind of re-inspected when the season allows for it.
Are homeowners ever surprised at things like, say, you mentioned landscaping or driveway that may not be completed when it's time to move in?
They can be, and we really try our best to prepare them for that ahead of time. And we think by sharing that information and just being fully transparent, kind of as early as possible when we know these items are not necessarily going to be complete in time for their walkthrough, that just makes their experience better and they feel more prepared for the day when it arrives.
One of the things that we've done with this series, and one of the points of the series, is really try to empower homeowners and encourage them to ask a lot of questions, to speak to their builder whenever they feel the need to. And is that something that would be involved in the PDI? Do you encourage homeowners to ask a lot of questions?
We do, definitely. This is an opportunity for them to feel really comfortable getting acquainted with their new space and their new home or building. So this is really a great opportunity to have one-on-one interaction with someone who's been involved on our team with the building and inspecting of that new home and will be their point of contact after they move in for any ongoing service items.
In the event that someone cannot attend their own pre-delivery inspection, can they assign someone to take their place?
They can for sure. And we would actually offer even that a member of our team do it on their behalf if they don't have someone available to send on their behalf. But they can just sign the what's called the appointment of designate form, and that's a Tarion form, and basically authorize someone to do that walkthrough on their behalf and share all of the necessary information from them after.
And I imagine there are times, I can imagine this in my own family where people would want to bring, a lot of people, the parents and
Yes.
the friend who knows a lot about this kind of thing. How many people can attend a PDI?
We prefer to limit it to the people that are listed on the agreement of purchase and sale. And that reason being just when you have so many people involved, it's a very exciting moment and everyone tends to kind of move in many different directions at the same time. But really to kind of efficiently build a list of any items needing extra attention, we try to stick to an agenda and work room by room, and it's just most efficiently done with fewer people.
Okay, so we're doing the pre-delivery inspection and a homeowner identifies issues that they're noticing. What happens at that point?
So at that point, we would note those items on the Tarion PDI form, and we kind of use that as a checklist to guide our service work. Our goal as the builder is to complete as many of those items between the PDI and that person's possession or occupancy date. So if there are any items that are outside of our control, such as materials being back ordered or delayed, and we can't complete it before the occupancy date, those items can then continually be added to Tarion's next warrantable item lists from there.
Is there a typical amount of time between the PDI and occupancy?
Not necessarily. It really depends on the construction schedule, and there's no minimum requirement per se for the time between the PDI and possession date. We try to give as much time as possible just because then it gives our team more time to work through any items that require attention before the possession date. But it can be as short as a couple of days and as long as a couple of weeks. So it really depends on the builder's construction schedule.
Okay, I want to shift over now to the home inspector perspective, and I'm going to bring Graham in on this. Graham, how can somebody who is a new homeowner prepare for a PDI?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. One is certainly get your documentation together. Remind yourself of what all the options that you chose were, and even down to the level of of finishes, but what type of cupboards, all that sort of thing. Uh, there can be a long time between the signing of the agreement to purchase and sale and the PDI, and very often, honestly, people have forgotten what it was they chose. So I'd want to remind people to be familiar with that, so they're bringing the right expectations to the house. The other thing I don't think a lot of people do, and as a matter of fact, I think many home buyers aren't even aware of it. But I think it's a good idea that home buyers at least just very generally familiarize themselves with Tarion's construction performance guidelines. And the importance, I think, there is this document establishes the tolerances for what a builder has to build to, what the builder's warranty is going to cover. I go through a lot of pre-delivery and other inspections where, one of the classic cases that a homeowner is concerned about is, there's a crack in the basement floor, there's a crack in the garage floor slab, and they're pointing this out to the builder. And quite honestly, every single basement has these cracks. It's just a natural part of concrete. But people aren't familiar with what the construction tolerances are, or in fact, that there are construction tolerances. I don't expect certainly a home buyer to familiarize themselves with this, but at least be aware of the fact that there is something like this. And this is really part of the mental preparation for a pre-delivery inspection. And I'll be one of the only people to say it, but I think just purely from my perspective, it'd be great if builders would advertise, "We build imperfect homes," and I don't mean that as a knock. That is in fact a reality. Perfection is not a standard in anything in life, and a lot of people bring that attitude, like brand new home should be absolutely perfect. Um, and you know what? It won't be. That isn't the standard. So just understanding that there is some defendable documentation, some defendable information out there that establishes what these tolerances are, and when you get into that pre-delivery inspection, um, understands that you don't have to get out your flashlight and start shining it 6 inches away from every single wall, looking for every single screw head that you might be able to see, because that's not how you're going to live in your house. You're going to live in your house looking at walls and floors just from a normal viewing position, like sitting on your couch and just with the light coming in the window. That's the standard that people should expect. So understanding that there are some tolerances are, I think, good mental preparation. And on a more practical note, it may not apply to condos, but some another good bit of preparation would be to bring some boots that you don't mind getting muddy.
I love that. It's such a great point. That is a great point. And I also want to go back to your point about people reminding themselves through their paperwork what exactly they chose, which exact floor they chose, and the countertops, because I can see how that would be easy to walk in and say, I think we chose a different one. But if you've got it in writing, it would make the process probably faster and easier.
Oh, absolutely. And as I say, it's a long period of time, and there's some people don't choose very many options at all. I've been in houses though where people can't honestly remember whether they ordered air conditioning to be installed,
Wow.
and there's a big one. I mean, it's a pretty simple thing to clear up, but it's a matter of preparation, and I think that's important.
Well, I know if I was doing a PDI and I had an engineer with me, like you, and I saw a crack in the basement floor and the engineer said that's totally normal, that would put my mind at ease for sure because I know nothing about that kind of thing. So, how often do people involve engineers, home inspectors when they do their PDI? And is that something that you would recommend?
You know what? It's not something I would necessarily recommend all the time. Quite honestly, it's kind of situation dependent. I think bringing a home inspector or an engineer in at a later point after people have moved in is actually more important. Some people are, however, concerned, and it's not really justifiable, but they're concerned that if they don't catch something at the PDI, it's not going to be covered by the builder's warranty. And that's not the case. I mean, you've got a whole year's worth of warranty for certain items, 2 years on certain items, 7 years on certain items, and that starts on the day of occupancy, the date that's on your warranty certificate. You don't necessarily have to catch those things ahead of time. There are some people, however, who they're just really concerned. Sometimes people have taken a drive by the house before the time of the PDI, and they've gone in and maybe looked around a little bit, and they've already got some concerns, maybe about something that's on the front facade, and they need to be reassured that it either is or isn't a problem, because you make a really good point about that. Many people have great relationships with their builders, and frankly, some less so. And sometimes there's a little bit of there's a bit of distrust there, and homeowner says, "What do you think about that crack in the floor?" To the builder's representative. The builder's representative says it's fine. They go, "Yeah, well, of course you would say that." But a home inspector or a builder who actually understands construction is of great value. I mean, a situation just last week that was very similar to that. Without getting into the technical stuff, it had to do with a kind of a funny looking roof flashing that you could see from the street. Um, and my clients had been in contact with me about this months ago. And we got out there to the site, and I said, actually, that's exactly the way that it's supposed to be. And they said, okay, great. And so even that was of value to them. So it's not a matter of getting your home inspector to find everything, but if somebody just wants to make sure that everything is as it should be, like that thing I thought was a problem, you know what? It actually isn't a problem. That is of good value, and some people need that reassurance early on. I would certainly say that the number of people who have a home inspector come through at the PDI time is in the minority. It's certainly in the minority. It happens. There is value there, but it really depends on the home buyer and what the comfort level they need is.
Yes, and great point. And it's worth reminding people that if there's something that is not flagged on the PDI, noted on the PDI, or maybe it's something you notice, it's not like the PDI is the only opportunity to have something addressed, because the builder's warranty does extend.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, the pre-delivery inspection form is not even a statutory warranty form. It's really your communication with the builder. It is that, as has been said, it's that opportunity to get in there ahead of time and say, look, here's some things that aren't done. Because there will be some things that aren't done, and landscaping and driveways and decks and eaves troughs and downspouts, and people are often a little bit surprised. That's an important part of it. There is one element, though, that I think is very important with respect to the PDI, where you may actually risk losing some coverage, is the scratch and dent stuff, the wear and tear stuff. And I think that's one of the most important elements as far as the actual condition of the home goes, whether it's a condo or a house, is looking at the floors, looking at the tubs, looking at the doors, looking at the things that might get damaged. Because after you've moved in, if there's a scratch on the floor, the question arises, well, was that scratch there before? Was that scratch caused by the people moving furniture in? That's really the big issue, where there's a chance that you may not be covered for something if it's not picked up during the pre-delivery inspection.
So, having said that, is it worth it if somebody's doing a PDI and they notice something like that, a scratch or a dent, to take a photo of it, since it shows the day that the photo was taken?
Yes, taking a photo of it is great, but you're also there with the builder's rep, and just point it out to the builder's representative, and they'll typically, they'll note it on the PDI form. Very good chance they're going to take a photo of it anyway, just so that it can be sent to the trades that are going to be responsible for correcting that. Maybe they put a sticker or a piece of tape down to mark it. Generally speaking, the builder's reps are very good at that type of thing, but for your own peace of mind, nothing wrong with a little bit of excess documentation, given the photo studios we all carry around with us these days.
It's so true. Before I move on to get now the Tarion perspective on the PDI, and you've given us some really great information and great tips, is there anything else you would recommend that people do or don't do when they're going through the PDI?
No, I think that the do is absolutely focus on those cosmetic deficiencies. Another do has already been mentioned is ask a lot of questions, especially with respect to those mechanical systems, because there's a lot of things in brand new houses that a lot of homeowners have just never seen before, ranging from heat recovery ventilators to these strange controls that they see on the wall of their dining room. What are these for? Why are there strange copper pipes wrapped around my drainage plumbing? I mean, there's a lot of new technology that the people just aren't familiar with. Asking those questions: what is that? How do I operate that? And that can, again, be the alarm, as was mentioned, but the heating, the air conditioning controls, all of this type of stuff. Making sure that they know where the manuals are. I mean, sometimes all the appliances won't necessarily be there, but asking questions about the operation of the home. Um, and and sometimes really getting down into the weeds is a good thing. Last week again, for example, I was doing a pre-delivery inspection. There was a lot of discussion about the heat recovery ventilator and the humidifier in a home that had hardwood floors, and the builder's rep had the opportunity, once those questions were asked, to really explain the importance of humidity with respect to the wood flooring, and where the best settings would be to control that. So, look, getting that information about those systems you're not familiar with, and uh, again, don't get too much into the technical details of the house. Don't worry about the fact that you're going to lose coverage if there happens to be a leak at some point. You know what? Those leaks are going to be covered for a long time. I mean, certainly if I saw a leak, I'd want to point it out. But that's not really the intent here.
All right, let me move on to Samantha, who is with Tarion, and ask you if Tarion actually has a role in the PDI, or does Tarion come into play after?
So our we don't actually have a role per se in the PDI itself. Our role is more to help purchasers prepare for a PDI. So to do that, we provide resources for them. They're available on our website. And so one of them is a PDI checklist. We also have a learning hub module that will take a homeowner through what to expect. There's even little quizzes. So yeah, those are the things that we essentially do to help purchasers prepare.
And the PDI form that is used during the pre-delivery inspection, is that a Tarion form or is that a builder form?
Most of the time, it will be the Tarion form that they're using. Builders are allowed to have their own form as long as it has all the same information. So if we have, a form that's prepared by a builder, it needs to have everything that Tarion's form has on it.
And Graham covered a lot of this, but let me go over it from the Tarion point of view. During the PDI, there are certain things that you want to be as thorough as possible about because, and we talked about certain sort of cosmetic things, if it's not pointed out on the PDI, it may be difficult to get coverage after the PDI.
Yes, and so the pre-delivery inspection is a document that Tarion looks to see if there's damaged, missing, or incomplete items at that time. And so if something isn't on there, it could be a little more difficult down the road for us to establish who's responsible for the damage.
When the homeowner is going through the PDI, you will also get a copy of the warranty certificate. What exactly is that?
So the warranty certificate is what's going to give the homeowner their home enrollment number, and it's also going to tell them what their warranty start date is.
Okay, and We went over this a bit with Graham. Let me ask you, Samantha, what if a homeowner cannot attend their pre pre-delivery inspection? What happens in that case?
So you are able to send somebody else in your place. We just ask that the appointment of designate for the PDI form be filled out, and you would submit that to your builder as well as Tarion. And they can actually find this appointment of designate on our website.
Okay. And I don't know how often this would happen, but if somebody's doing a PDI and the builder's representative refuses to note something that the homeowner has noticed, what happens in that situation?
So it's not very common, but I have heard stories that a homeowner has pointed something out and there was a disagreement. And so if that happens, all we suggest is that the homeowner document it themselves and then bring it to Tarion's attention as soon as possible. So that way it's on their file.
Let me jump back to Natasha with this one because you've got the builder's perspective. So is that, I won't even say a common thing, but have you seen that happen where a homeowner will point something out and the builder refuses to mark it down? What's usually happening there?
In our experience, that's not a common item on the PDI. It may be something that occurs on later warranty inspection or service item forms, and that could be because of what Graham has already mentioned, in the sense where it's an item that is cosmetic, for lack of a better word, and it could be due to wear and tear by the resident that has been in possession of their new home or condo. So that would be more often where we see those situations, but at the PDI, it's not common.
Okay, Samantha, I want to come back to you because if a person takes possession of their home and a builder has not addressed items that were noted on the PDI, what happens then when they contact Tarion?
So what a homeowner should do if the items haven't been addressed from the pre-delivery inspection is actually list it on their warranty form. And so the reason they would be doing that is because the pre-delivery inspection is not considered an official warranty form. And so you would be relisting the items on the next available warranty form to Tarion and your builder.
So if somebody gets through the pre-delivery inspection and then they get occupancy and there are still items outstanding, then maybe at that point they reach out to Tarion about those items that haven't been addressed yet. How does Tarion help at that point?
Okay, so those items would have been listed on a warranty form. And so the builder would have their builder repair periods. But if those items are still not addressed after the builder repair periods, Tarion is able to assist further by determining whether or not they fall under warranty. And if they do and they're still not resolved, we would deal directly with the homeowners in order to get it resolved.
Okay. And Graham pointed out you will see different things when you move into the home. Some of them may be more difficult to prove that were pre-existing. But what if a homeowner does notice something after the PDI, once they've moved in, that they believe was pre-existing? What is the best way for them to handle that?
We would always suggest that they document. So anything that is seen when you're moving in, because now you're getting an opportunity to spend more time in your home. And you might be seeing things that you just didn't get a chance to see at the pre-delivery inspection. We would definitely suggest documenting, taking photos, and submitting it to Tarion as soon as possible. And then in any event, definitely within the warranty form, your next warranty form within your first year of possession.
Buying a home is so exciting and also so overwhelming because there are so many things to know and also to learn about the whole process. And you guys have been great in covering off a lot of those things. And before we wrap up, I kind of want to go around the table and ask everyone for some final thoughts on, especially after hearing everything that everyone has contributed today. Natasha, let me start with you because you're sort of representing the builder's perspective. Do you have any final thoughts for homeowners heading into this process?
Sure. I would reiterate familiarizing yourself with your design center selections, any upgrades you purchased, kind of resurfacing that paperwork that happened months or years ago, and just refamiliarizing yourself with it so you know what to expect when you walk into your home. If you have purchased from a builder that hasn't sent you a what to expect at your PDI, feel free to reach out to them before your PDI and ask them what you should expect. Is there anything they anticipate will not be complete, just so that you can walk in kind of eyes wide open into your new space? And once you're there, really take that opportunity to ask any and all questions you have. Make a list for yourself before you go in, because, like you said, it's very exciting and it can be very overwhelming. And you're going to be having a lot of different moving thoughts when you're in your new space. So, kind of pre-prepare that list for yourself so that you check everything off it while you have that one-on-one attention with the builder rep.
And is it fair to say that the builder wants the homeowner to be happy? Like people should go in sort of thinking that. I think people often think the opposite, but really the builder, I'm sure, wants the homeowner to be satisfied.
Oh, 100%. I mean, their satisfaction is what our reputation is built off of. So, word of mouth, even online reviews nowadays, you hear from more often the negative ones than the positive ones, and those are things that we're looking to avoid. I mean, we really want to have more positive experiences for people to share, because that's ultimately what keeps us doing what we do and building the homes that we love to build.
And Graham, aside from bringing a pair of boots that can get muddy, which I am always going to remember, what else would you recommend or in final thoughts to homeowners?
I would say if you're going to be bringing a home inspector, try to find one who's actually familiar with new construction. There's a lot of home inspectors out there, and a lot of great home inspectors, and a lot of home inspectors who really just focus on uh, resale homes, on old homes, and sometimes they don't understand new construction and the Tarion process at all. So I'd look for somebody who has that type of experience. If you need somebody to come in with you, don't be afraid to have somebody come in the house with you to help you along with that PDI. Um, and I guess the one final thing I would offer is that when you're doing that pre-delivery inspection, don't try to avoid getting eye fatigue, because sometimes it can be a bit of a long process, and you'll look at that first room and you're looking real carefully at every piece of baseboard trim, and you're looking inside the closet and you're closely inspecting the latches on the door, and by the time you get to the end, you're just kind of wandering in and you say, okay, here's another room, and it's okay. Sometimes it takes a little bit of thought, but keep your concentration up. Don't get overwhelmed by the brand new shiny house. Do look closely in that last room, as closely as you look in the first room, and but also do really consider this the goal of the PDI. To be an orientation of your home. Don't forget that, and don't forget to learn about it.
And Samantha, from the Tarion perspective, what are your recommendations for new homeowners heading into that process?
So I would say preparing. Preparing is definitely key. And so using the PDI checklist that we have available on our website, it's quite comprehensive. It's a few pages long, and it's going to hopefully give you a little bit of confidence as well when you're going through this PDI, because you have this checklist, you know what you're needing to do, and you're going through this process along with your builder. And so the other thing, that's very important is transferring the incomplete items from your PDI onto a warranty form. So when it comes to it, builders, they're trying to, like Natasha was saying, satisfy their customers, right? So that they get that good reputation. But sometimes, just because of various schedules in construction, things might not always be done when a builder would prefer it. And so having that item on a warranty form, it's going to not only say, hey, builder, this is still outstanding, I'd like you to resolve it, but it's also giving you that backup in the event that something happens and you need Tarion's help down the road.
Natasha Paikin, Graham Clarke, Samantha Rieder, thank you all so much for this. It's been so interesting. Thank you.
Thank you for
Thanks for
having
having
us.
For more information on how Tarion can help you navigate and receive the coverage you are entitled to, go to tarion.com/learning hub. You've been listening to Unpacked, a Tarion podcast about the new home journey in Ontario.
This is SSN.
Story Studio Network.